I'm Heather from Wiggly Wigglers, and this is a series of videos that helps you make the most out of your worm composting kit. So today we're going to talk about rescuing your worm composting kit. But before we do that, is it really in trouble? That's the question. Before you buy a rescue kit or you think you've got a real problem with your wormery, ask yourself these two questions. Are there worms inside my composter? So scrape away the surface and look for worms or worm eggs, and if they're in there, that's a really good sign. We don't need there to be tons, but as long as there's worms in there, great. The second question is there worm compost in my wormery? So when you put your waste in, it was all waste. So if you've got specks of brown compost, those are worm casts, and they tell you that your worms have eaten the waste, processed it and produced a worm cast. So these are really good signs. And I would say 99 times out of 100 that people are worrying about their worm farms or their worm composters. Actually, the training is for the person, not the worms. Because when all's said and done, worms for hundreds of thousands of years have eaten waste, whether that's on the forest floor with leaves, or in a muck heap with muck, or in a kitchen composter with kitchen waste. They've eaten that waste, it's gone through their body, and the product that they produce is the worm cast. There is a lot of liquid produced, so that percolates through the worm cast and makes a worm tea, but basically that's what they do. So do you need to rescue your kit is the first question. If you've seriously had some mega problem, I had one customer who covered the whole of his wormery in porridge because his son didn't like porridge, so it was completely anaerobic, there was no air, and that killed the worms. He had to restart his kit. I've had other instances where the lid's been left off, so rain has poured into the kit and killed the worms, and very occasionally, and I mean very occasionally, the worms have not thrived after a really, really cold spell. What I would say is, don't automatically assume that your wormery is over if we have had a cold snap, because worms are one of the few creatures that can survive frost and being frozen and then thaw, so their bodies shut down. The only thing is they don't breed as quickly afterwards. Anyway, assuming all that, you need to restart your wormery. With a rescue kit, usually you don't need to use the coir because you will have worm casts in the kit, but to be sure, moisten your coir, so put it in a bucket of water, add that into your wormery. You don't need to empty the whole thing out unless you have pests that you need sort, like ants. You can add that into the bottom tray if there's space, and add your worms into the coir, because the coir means it's inert. So your worms can just percolate through the coir and start to infiltrate your kit again. Make sure that the kit's not too wet. So if you're in doubt, add some shredded cardboard to dry it up. Add a really good dose of your lime mix and worm treat and waste, and make sure your moisture mat's on top. The reason you've got a moisture mat is because worms like to do it in the dark, and that way they'll compost right up to the surface of your waste. Once you've filled the first tray with waste, only add probably an inch or two at a time. You'll find that it reduces in volume because you're going to produce lots of liquid feed. Then add the second tray and continue as normal. But generally speaking, adding a few worms is a benefit, but restarting your kit is unnecessary. If in any doubt, you can add more worms for sure, but check that it isn't actually working and you can't see it before you restart. So that's the end of our today's video. I'm Heather from Wiggly Wigglers, and if you want a rescue kit or any extras, go to www.wigglywigglers.co.uk.